It's Kearney Live, presented by KMO-TV and 102.7 FM. Kearney Live takes a closer look at current issues and topics that matter to you. And now, here are the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Stacy Bratcher.
Yeah, there's that live studio audience. Welcome to Kearney Live. I'm your host, Mike Davis, along with my co-host, Stacy Bratcher. Do that.
They can go to KearneyFamilyFoundation.org, and all our information's on our website. They can sign up to play, do everything, donate, request help. Everything's on our website.
And there are sponsorships, I assume, or are all of those taken?
We already have whole sponsors, but we can take a few more.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sounds good. Tell us about what the Kearney Family Foundation does, and how you mentioned before we went on the air that you have a good number of families in need this year. In fact, more than you've had over the last few years, and we know there's one is too many.
Right.
But we understand, to just kind of where we left off, kind of let the folks know what you're up against this year.
Well, the numbers have increased. Last year we helped 211 children approximately. This year we're going to have about 289 so far have requested help.
That's a lot.
Yes. And we met with the superintendent of schools, Dr. Miller, and she said that there was an influx of families that are needing help this year that came into the district, and she knew the numbers were going to increase as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Stacy, we've talked about there are a lot of people who aren't working for any number of reasons.
Right.
I think, the pandemic sort of pushed us downhill. And
then inflation hasn't
helped.
helped.
Yes, everything just sort of, it's the perfect storm, in effect, I guess, that has caused this. And I think anybody, even now, with 8.3% inflation, I think everybody's feeling it everywhere, from the grocery store, the gas pump, and anything that
Right,
that
and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, spend money on.
Kelly, what exactly do you provide to these children?
So what we try to provide, we collect toiletries. The school district, they are doing fundraisers right now. All the schools are collecting toiletry items. The reason they do that is because food stamps won't cover toiletry items. So when a family goes, the kid has like a little, like they like to do puzzles or something, we try to throw in a little something.
Something fun.
Yeah, so they have something fun at Christmas time.
Right.
Now, a couple of years ago, I think it was you guys that you had an agreement with Price Chopper, or they helped out in some manner in during the holiday season or before. They had it where they had a grocery cart or some means by which people could help out. Am I mistaking you for somebody else?
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember that.
All right, well, that's fine.
So I think Mike's question is how can people get donations to you?
So they can go to our website, again, KearneyFamilyFoundation.org. There's a link to adopt a family, donate, volunteer, and there's also a link if someone needs help. We've helped not only children in the district, but if a senior citizen, Army vets, whoever, a veteran who needs help. Last year we got him some shoes, he needs some boots. So if anybody is in need, we're not specific, age-wise, but we do try to keep it to the older folks and the kids in the district.
So
go ahead.
If a local business or a club or something wanted to do a toiletry drive as well, or an underwear drive or what have you, how would they get those things to you, and when do you need them by?
Our deadline, our shop day, our deliver day is December 8th. So we would need it probably by the end of November. November 30th would be our deadline.
So there's time.
There's time, yeah. There's time for toiletry drives. Toothbrushes are huge. Those are very expensive.
Yes,
and so
aren't they?
If anybody wants to collect toothbrushes, we're always in need, because you're supposed to replace those every 3 months. So we'd like to do that. Toothpaste, anything like that is very helpful. We had a teacher in the district is collecting socks, and we'll take them. New socks, we'll find a home for them.
And you only do this at Christmas time.
Right.
Why is that your mission?
That is just how it began. Families seem to be in need more at Christmas time. There's just not enough money to budget for everything. So if we can take a little bit of that burden off of them, maybe they can have a nice Christmas, and the kids can come in with new clothes and new shoes and maybe a belly full of food to start the year off right.
Right. But throughout the year, you'd be willing to take donations or funds or whatever.
We take donations
ongoing.
Right.
Yes. I mean, for example, and I'm just thinking, if a big company like Procter & Gamble or somebody, for example, had extra toothbrushes. I mean, how could you connect that benefactor type company with your organization?
Well, we're always looking for ways. Like Hallmark is a big sponsor. They donate every year.
Yeah.
We've written grants to different, we've gotten grants from Sam's Club, Walmart.
There you go.
So we're always looking for a
So
partnership.
you're way ahead of me. Yeah, yeah. This isn't your first rodeo. I got you.
No.
Yeah.
How long has Kearney Family Foundation been around?
About 19 years.
19. Wow.
It started out really small. They started out, the Thorne family started it, and they started out with just helping a few families in need, and it's grown. We've, like I said, we're up to 165 families right now.
Wow.
And we have a lot of homeless kids in the district. A lot of people don't understand that and aren't aware of that. We have some homeless kids who are sleeping on couches or sleeping in cars, and we really try to pay extra attention to those kids, giving them gas cards, phone cards. So that is definitely, that number has increased this year as well.
Yeah, you hear a thing like that, and it just doesn't seem possible. I mean, even nationwide. But I think when you hear about it right here in Kearney, it doesn't even seem plausible. And yet and I heard this term, and this may have been the last time that when we met, you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, there was a term called couch surfing, where these homeless kids would just sort of go from home to home to home.
Right.
And gosh, I mean, it sounds silly, but how does a thing like that happen?
There was a kid who, it's been a few years now, but he was homosexual and his parents didn't want him. They just simply kicked him out. And he was a good student, he was a good kid, he was, really trying. He was trying hard, he wanted to go to college, and his parents simply just said, and so he was living in his car, and some families found out that he was sleeping in his car, and they invited him, and he began couch surfing. These different families were kind of passing him around and helping him out. And he did. He went to college, he graduated, so we see the success stories, we see these kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
All they need is a hand up. They just need to know that someone cares, honestly.
Exactly.
How do you measure your success? How do you find out about these success stories?
We don't know. We just hear it at the resource fair. We go and we get to meet some of the families, and they'll tell us when we got our gifts last year, I cried. It made a huge difference to us.
Yeah.
It made the difference for my family. We get to hear those stories occasionally. We get letters in the mail after the fact, saying you did a great thing for my family. We've had a few kids that have come back to us that we helped them when they were younger that are now volunteers. When I was a child, you guys helped me out, so now I want to give back to the community.
Right, but because so many of these people who utilize your services are anonymous,
Right.
there's really no official way
No.
to tabulate the
No.
success stories.
Unless they reach out to us, we
Yeah,
won't. We
yeah.
don't ever know. And we don't want to pry. It's all anonymous.
Yeah.
So Kelly, you need volunteers, you need donation of goods, donation of money, time,
People to adopt families.
people to adopt
Right.
families, and golfers for this weekend.
golfers, right.
Awesome. And you can find out more about that at kearneyfamilyfoundation.org. All right, Kelly, thank you we are running out of time. I can't believe this went
Goes
so
by fast.
fast.
Really fast.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
being here
having
with
us.
us and sharing with us. Good luck to you this Christmas season.
Thank you.
We'll do our best to get the word out and help support you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for being with us, Kelly. We appreciate you. Appreciate what you guys are up to. What's coming up next, Stacy?
All right, well, families are already dealing with record inflation, likely will face soaring heating costs as well this winter. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose, to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
And welcome back to Kearney Live with your co-hosts, Stacy, Mike, and Jim. They laugh at me every time I do that. So today we are talking about the National Energy Assistance Directors Association has projected that the average cost of heat to heat a home will increase by a record 17.2% since last winter. Heating oil costs will jump an estimated 54%, while natural gas costs may increase 24%. This jump is going to put a squeeze on already tight family budgets. Whether it's through electric, natural gas, or oil, prices are up across the board. So, gentlemen, I know there's really not much we can do about this. The electric or the utility companies are already sending out notices in their bills. How do we prepare? What do we do in our own homes to help offset this? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, you're up against a household budget where everything is a line item, just in a bit like it in a business. So something's got to give. I mean, you're either going to have to leave some of the less important things out, and I don't see any way around it, or go out and make some more money, get a second job, whatever.
There's that.
And so all of these things are, here's what's interesting to me. Before the beginning of this administration, I'll call it,
there you go.
We were energy independent.
Right.
And none of my utility bills have budged until after January 2021. And I don't think there's any question that when you shut down the pipeline and you do everything you possibly can to push green energy and efforts to convert everything that we're doing right now overnight to more eco-friendly sort of energy, you're going to mess things up. You can't do it overnight. Like I'm all about saving energy and all of these things, but right now we had this thing going real well before the Biden administration.
Yeah, I think what you run the risk of is you run the risk of creating a real problem. I mean, we have a problem now, but it's going to get out of control, and here's what I mean. And that is not me, by the record. Just for the record, I'll wait for that to end.
So, you want to take that, Stacy?
Clearly that was not
Apologies.
That might be important.
I turned down one electronic device and not the other. My apologies.
I know the feeling.
But I will continue. You run the risk of having a real problem, and the problem is this. So what's going to happen is people are going to get behind on their heating bills.
Right.
They're already having trouble with putting gas in their car. And if you remember when you drive your car, what people used to do is they would always go to the gas station and fill up.
Top her off.
Now you're going back to the days where you see people putting in $5, $10, just trying to get to where they're trying to go.
Right.
That works for a while, but here's the problem. As we get into the winter, and we can only hope that it's a mild winter across the country. Yeah.
But that's not what they're predicting.
Yeah, and people are going to get behind. And we all know that once you get behind, it is nearly impossible to get caught up. And 1 year, let's just say it's 1 year, just for argument's sake, you get behind 1 year in your utility payments, it parlays into other things. And you get behind on your car payment, and you're behind on this and that. And it becomes something that you can't get out of. Already Americans are using, as you said, their credit. They're racking up credit cards. The percentage interest rate on credit cards is going up. So it's all starting to spiral, and the problem is it doesn't take too long to get out of control, and once it gets out of control, it's nearly impossible to get it back.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This is the highest inflation rate we've had in 40 years, and I'm sorry, that's no accident. I mean, this was done by design. It was done purposefully. And I think people need to just wake up. Listen, we've got a midterm election that's coming up, and I think you need to take a serious look at the way your life was about 2 years ago versus the way it is right now, economically. Families are suffering. Listen, we just spoke with Kellie Robertson a little while ago, and I think that's a great example of it. She's got hundreds of families that are in need right now.
Yeah. And all of our nonprofits are echoing that
struggling,
sentiment. Yes.
You bet. I mean, so we're looking at a situation right now that as it gets down below freezing and stays that way for, 3 months or so. I think people are going to be in some serious trouble, and you're going to start eating, the things that don't cost very much.
Right.
That's for sure.
Ramen noodles.
Yes. There you go. That's what I was trying to think of a good example. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is that a lot of this stuff, if you go back and look at it, a lot of this was done to try and push us into something that we really didn't want to do. And we're going to cover that a little bit in our third segment. But there was this big push to go. So what are the big gotchas? Climate change. Climate change, we're all going to die. Blah, 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 blah. No. And then we need to go back electric. And like I said, we'll get to that later. Yeah. But to push people into this, we've created a problem that is really going to be hard to get out of. And, we talked about climate change. We had a guest on the show. It's probably been, 3-4 months now. And we talked about this climate change thing and how a lot of the people who are your big climate change advocates are talking about what's happened in the last 50 years. But this planet has been around for millions and billions of years. Right. And if you look at it over that course of time, it has gone through dynamic changes, and it will continue to go through dynamic changes. And taking the changes that it goes through in the last 20 years is nothing. And for those of you who are Mike and I's age, I'm not going to talk about Stacy's age. But for those of you who are been around for a little bit, do you remember in the 70s when Leonard Nimoy did that special? And it was like the world was going to end before we hit 1990.
Yeah.
And here we are.
No, I remember with the threat of acid rain. I mean, I just recently...
I remember that.
Right, and then all of the rivers and the fish were all going to die.
Remember hairspray?
Yeah.
Quit using hairspray.
Yes.
We're all going to die because we're going to blow the ozone.
We're burning up the ozone.
And
you stop using aerosol cans.
Yep.
Yeah, of any sort.
But it's always something, and the fact of the matter is, when you look at it and you break it down, and we've talked about this before, the United States is one small piece of the world.
Right.
And if you want to go see pollution, I mean pollution like you've never seen it before, haul your happy self over to China. And you will see something so it's just like this. If you live in a house of 100 people and you all share one room and you keep your area all nice and tidy, Do you think it matters if everybody else is just throwing their trash? It does not. So either everybody's got to get on board, which they won't, and then there are studies after study after study that show if everybody in the world got on board with every climate change agenda item that they want to do, it would make like 0.000, I forget how many zeros there are, there's a lot, 25% difference. In other words, there's no there's no environmental impact, long-term, short-term, anything else by doing all that. Final thought, and then I'll let it go because you got me started.
Well, I mean, I think
but think about it. COVID. Didn't COVID do exactly what the climate changers wanted to happen? They shut everything down.
Yeah.
Nobody was driving. Nothing was happening.
That's true.
That's what the climate change people want.
And
You
it
got
didn't
what you
make a
wanted,
difference.
and it didn't do anything. And in fact, studies are now starting to show that our CO2 levels went up. So it worked in reverse. I have nothing more to say. Thanks, Stacy.
well, all of the climate change activists are all getting ready to write you a strongly worded letter, Jim.
It won't be the first one.
Well, circling back around to our topic.
By the way, my email, just in case you want to send me, is Stacy at.
Well, no matter the prices of the heat, every year we have seniors who end up freezing to death in their own homes. So I'm just going to ask that everybody be especially aware of that this year. Check on your senior neighbors, make sure that they're okay. Invite them into your own house if you're blessed enough to have a warm house, and make sure that they survive this winter.
Yep, absolutely. Well said, Stacy. All right. Good job, folks. I appreciate that. That's a great topic, and I think really relevant, too, especially after our conversation with Kellie Robertson. All right, PayPal stock is plunging despite pulling a controversial policy fining users up to $2,500 for misinformation. We'll tell you more about it when we come back. Stay with us on Kearney Live.
You value choices when it comes to the products and services you bring into your home. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative gives you control over the energy you use. PCEC offers members ways to save with energy efficiency rebates and demand billing. You even have the power to choose the resources used to produce your power. To learn more, visit www.pcec.coop/power. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. Your power, your way.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Online banking at Kearney Trust Company gives you 24/7 access to your checking, savings, money markets, CDs, and loan accounts. You can access your accounts anytime from your home, office, and mobile devices. Online banking with Kearney Trust combines convenience and flexibility to bank on your own terms. Kearney Trust Company is a partner for success with 2 locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. PayPal stock dropped more than 6 percentage points on Monday after reports emerged that the firm may attempt to fine people $2,500 for spreading misinformation via their platform. Over the weekend, the company told, and this is from the Epic Times, that PayPal is not fining, this is from PayPal, from their spokesperson, PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted in our policy. Adding an acceptable use policy notice recently went out in error that included incorrect information, the statement said. Brian, there is some video we've got, and I'd like folks to watch this because I think this explains it maybe a little better than I just did. But let's follow up. Let's watch this.
Will there be any payback for PayPal? The digital payment system put out a policy that would allow them to fine users for misinformation. Social media exploded, even former PayPal execs. Former PayPal president David Marcus tweeting in part, quote, "A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something they disagree with. Insanity." And Elon Musk, who co-founded PayPal, replied, "Agreed." After the backlash, PayPal said the policy was posted, quote, "in error." Earlier on Sunday Morning Futures, Arizona Senate candidate Blake Masters, who received large donations from PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, sounded off.
We need to ban companies at that level, at that size, especially if they're touching banking or if they're in social media. We're going to ban these companies from discriminating against users because of the political content of their speech. That's how we treat the phone company, right? Verizon can't go and listen to you and I have a telephone conversation and say, ooh, that's too conservative. You can't let a non-bank lender at the size of PayPal just discriminate against people and decide what's misinformation and fine them.
All right. I mean, the question I have is all of a sudden, who are these arbiters of truth? Where are these people coming from that work for these large corporations or these tech companies who are deciding somehow that they're the ones that are going to create the little truthful, we'll test it, and based on our interpretation, we'll let you know if you're spreading misinformation or disinformation, and we'll be the ones that will decide. And in fact, if you don't think the way we think, we're going to charge you for it. Or in fact, like they did, you guys may remember that during the trucker strike, during the protest in Canada, that it was the group that you could sign up and get, I forget the name of it, you sign up on
donate
Facebook.
money.
To help pay for the truckers, you know, who were missing their routes and so forth, and so they were losing money. They're trying to keep them fed. Well, all of a sudden, gosh, I wish I could think of the name of it, but in any case,
GoFundMe, wasn't it?
The GoFundMe. Thank you, Brian.
Good job, Brian.
Okay, so GoFundMe decided, we're going to decide right now because we don't agree with what the truckers are doing here, and we don't agree with your point of view. More importantly, they don't agree with the point of view. That, my friends, is the scary side of this. So what did they do? They shut down all of GoFundMe. They shut down, and all the money that went there, by the way. So it was just held in limbo somewhere. I don't know how this happens. But in fact, who are these arbiters of truth?
So I think to a large degree, they're kids. Twitter, it's pretty well known that a lot of their fact checkers and Facebook as well are kids. They're right out of college. So if they went to college at all, but the fact of the matter is they're not fact checking, they're opinion checking.
Exactly.
And so I want everybody to write that down. That is the first time that both of them have agreed with me at one time. That was awesome. But anyway, they're opinion checking, and the problem is, think back to when you were a kid. You know everything, right? You haven't been out in the real world. You haven't lived yet, but you know everything. Now imagine yourself when you were in high school or college, fact checking what other people are saying. So that's the problem, is you have the fact checkers were billed as something that they're absolutely not. Most people, I think, know that now. They also try to use algorithm fact checkers, so it'll pick up on words. But the funny thing is, in fact, this happened on a recent, so in our neighborhood, there's a chat group for what goes on in our neighborhood. And someone posted about these bugs that are coming out at night and they're biting everybody. And it said it's infected our neighborhood. Well, the fact checkers got a hold of that and started putting all this coronavirus stuff on there, which had nothing to do with anything. But that's where the algorithms pick up, and they really don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Someone else posted on there that there was a wasp nest down in the pool area, and the guy said, I'm going to go down there and kill the wasps. Fact check galore came out about, how violence is not the answer and all this, that, and the other. Had nothing to do with wasps. But that's your answer. It's algorithm and kids, most of it.
Well, the fact that they came out with an actual policy, with policy wording, and put it out there, that tells me that this was premeditated. They have sat at a conference room table for who knows how many months and deliberated over what language they were going to use and how they were going to present this. And then I don't know if somebody pulled the trigger too soon or if this was a test to see how it would go over.
They got caught, Stacy.
Yes.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, PayPal freezing funds for thought crimes is despicable,
right.
to quote Dan Held, who was the former chief of growth marketing for cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, and he wrote that users should delete accounts with the payment services provider. Well, guess what happened? A lot of people did.
Yeah,
and,
I don't think it was an accident.
No,
I think they put it out. It didn't get the response they wanted, and then that's become the way. So first of all, there's this new thing. If you're not familiar with it, it's don't accept responsibility for anything. It's always someone else's fault.
Yes.
So we're going to blame some guy down there or girl down there in IT mail delivery systems who hit send because they were told to put out and it's going to be their fault. But they did that on purpose.
In a company this size, listen, how many times do we proofread something in a company of, there's three of us that we send a letter out. I mean, it is proofread and proofread and proofread. And I mean down to the last comma. You can't tell me that they didn't read this down to the last comma.
Yeah.
Well,
Folks,
and it went through, I guarantee it went through legal, it went through all that
yes,
stuff.
all the
and
way
they
up.
had a plan for publishing.
Yes. Bottom line, this is Orwellian, or as some people say, dystopian. And this is a thing that is not uncommon. This is a thing that I find that when we start, when folks start dealing with the speech that we use on a regular basis, changing pronouns, I mean, all of it, it goes on and on and on. When you start dealing with speech, then all of a sudden you're talking about controlling people's thoughts, because that's exactly where it comes from. Now, thought control, and if you don't think and believe the way that we believe, the way that we think you should believe, that is Orwellian. I'm sorry, that is exactly what we're trying to avoid. And by the way, it's unconstitutional. But these people have absolutely no regard for the Constitution. Forget about freedom of speech. And folks, I got to tell you, it is something right now that we have to stop, because this is out of control. I mean, PayPal's a big company. By the way, I canceled my account. Yes, I did.
Here's the good news. If there is good news, here is the good news. All of these large companies that were unchallenged in the past now have competition. So PayPal, Venmo now. If you remember, Twitter was the only name in game. Now you've got Getter, Truth Social, Parler, all that stuff. Every one of those new companies takes away market share. So it's starting to get the word across that you may be able to have gotten away with this in the past. Look at YouTube. YouTube was the name of the game. Now you have Vimeo, Rumble. I think there's another one out there. You name it. But PayPal, I know there's Venmo, but there's a new one that just came out. So these places are the problem is they used to have the corner on the market, because if you were in PayPal and you wanted to send money, you had nowhere else to go. It's kind of like Western Union back in the day. Remember when Diners Club came out? It was the only credit card. How many credit cards are there today? Thousands.
Yes.
So the good news is the competition is out there, it is alive. And yes, I do know of many, many people who no longer have PayPal accounts. Right,
and I am one of them. And for all of you people who think you don't have a voice, you do, and it's time it needs to be heard. Jim, what's coming up next?
Well, I'll tell you what, that conversation was electric, but the question is, are you ready for electric? We're going to talk about it a little more when we come back. Stay with us.
You value choices when it comes to the products and services you bring into your home. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative gives you control over the energy you use. PCEC offers members ways to save with energy efficiency rebates and demand billing. You even have the power to choose the resources used to produce your power. To learn more, visit www.pcec.coop/power. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. Your power, your way.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Online banking at Kearney Trust Company gives you 24/7 access to your checking, savings, money markets, CDs, and loan accounts. You can access your accounts anytime from your home, office, and mobile devices. Online banking with Kearney Trust combines convenience and flexibility to bank on your own terms. Kearney Trust Company is a partner for success with 2 locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. It's time to talk about electric. A lot of people wanted to switch to electric. There was a big push on it, but now we're starting to learn rapidly that maybe we're not quite ready. Infrastructure isn't there. California is actually pushing the auto industry to go completely electric here very shortly, and already there's complaints that we're not ready to do that. You also take into account that the country as a whole is not ready, and then there's the background question about electricity. Where does electricity come from that goes in these cars? If you don't know, I'll let you look it up on your own. But let me tell you a little story, and then we'll get into this a little bit. And then, first of all, I was in California like 2 or 3 months ago. And then I went back. And both times when I've been there, you turn on the radio, and the first thing you hear is, please do not charge your car between here and here. And the times they sent out are the times that you'd be at home. And I'm like, well, when are you supposed to do it?
Yep.
That's one. Number
Yep.
two, I am amazed by, I have some friends that own electric cars. They are nothing but complaints for the most of them. They said, number one, the car doesn't go as far as they tell you it does, unless it's under perfect conditions, like I was on the top of a mountain and went downhill the whole way to work. Number two is they had to put a charger in their house. And the cost of that was huge. Number three is their electric bill went up in their house. Shocker. And number four, this is my favorite. A lot of these people are livid because they thought those little charging stations behind the grocery store were free. And now you have to do it. So Sarah and I were on the way to the airport one day, and the Uber guy was late because
guess what?
He had to charge his car. So I was just talking to him on the way to the airport, and he was complaining loudly. I almost said something wrong. He was complaining a lot. And when I took the math of what it cost him to charge his car and the mileage he's got, and then I compared it, it costs more than it cost me to drive on gas.
Yep.
So I'm not, and that excludes the price of the car. Let's just forget the cost of the car for a second. So kids, talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I think, isn't Ford, they're getting ready to come out with an electric pickup. Is that right?
Yeah, it's already done.
And I think that the test was that it would only go and I don't know this for a fact. I'm going to say that it would only go 257 miles or something like that, and way lower than if you filled up your work truck with either gasoline or diesel.
And that's only when it's not hauling a big trailer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That, and I think
minute
that
you
was
put
the
a
test.
hitch on it.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I think it was one of the heavy duty trucks, and I'm sorry I don't have all those facts in front of me, but listen, a reasonable person gets what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think the other point that I'd like to, goodness, if you're trying to build a new development, or let's just say, for example, you're trying to build a cabin in a remote area that's not so remote that you've got to live on solar, or you're going to live off wood that you can chop from your own property. No. You've got to go out and dig a foundation. You've got to go out and you've got to bring a truckload of lumber in. You've got to do all of the things that need to be done to build a place. Let's just say that we're really talking about an actual development that doesn't have power out there, that doesn't have available electricity for, I don't know, all of this construction equipment that runs on diesel. Imagine converting all of that to electric and hoping upon hope that you don't run out of juice.
Well, the same with farm equipment. They're talking about turning all of that electric as well. We're in the middle of harvest season. Can you imagine a combine that can only harvest for an hour before it has to be charged for 5 or whatever the numbers are, excuse me.
We're going to starve to death.
I know.
I just, to me, part of our freedom hinges on being able to go where we want, when we want. And I think when you hear about these, and I've seen the videos of lines backed up in Europe at these charging stations, where if you think there were gas lines, you remember back in the 80s, early 80s, there were gas lines.
Yep.
Well, now imagine what it would be like if you can't get a drop of gasoline because you're forced to drive an electric car, which I don't see happening, frankly. But nonetheless, imagine having to wait in a line to charge your car that's by the way, powered by either coal or even a nuclear plant.
Well, and that's the problem. It's not like we don't have the technology for gas.
Right.
So we have that. But a couple of good points, because I'm going to say them. That's what makes them good.
We'll be the judge of that, Jim. We're the thought police today.
A lot of people, half the country, if not more, has these iPhones, these smartphones.
Yes.
Do you guys remember when the federal government gave each person $2,000 to get a smartphone? No, you do not, because it's a product that everybody wanted. If everybody wants it, then you don't have to coerce them to go buy it. That's one. Number two, the problem is when you get so far ahead of yourself, you run into safety problems.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little secret. Batteries do not make energy, they store energy.
Right.
You have to get that energy into the battery. The problem is batteries can get into a problem. It's called thermal runaway. And thermal runaway, if you're not familiar, is very dangerous. And what it does is the energy and heat of a battery will essentially heat up to the point it causes a fire, which adds more energy, which adds more heat, which adds more energy, and then you end up with thermal runaway. This is starting to happen a lot in these cars because these batteries are huge and the amount of heat that builds up is enormous.
Yes.
And so here's a car right here, if Brian can pull that up. Here's a car that experienced a thermal runaway, and this is the fire that comes out of this, if we get that video, is not just a little, go ahead and run that video. It is not, and they'll show a close-up here in a minute, this is not just a little tame fire. These things are massive, and see how it's shooting out like that?
Yeah.
Now the problem is putting water on it doesn't put it out. Fire departments are having huge problems, and these things will burn for hours and hours and hours. Imagine if that's in your house.
Yeah.
There is no way to put that out.
And that wasn't caused by an accident either.
No, the car's
that was
just sitting there.
spontaneous.
So if that's not good enough for you, imagine being on a city bus.
Oh boy.
We're doing a lot of city buses now. This is thermal runaway on a city bus. Watch how fast this bus has a problem, and imagine being on it. Boom, there it goes. Now look at all that stuff that's dropping off. Now how are you going to get off the bus is one. And this thing goes up in quick. I think that bus literally burns up and it's less than a minute.
Yeah.
But that's what thermal runaway does.
Yes.
And so the point is this. the technology will get there, but you got to do it methodically, and you've got to do it right. Otherwise, we're going to decimate our infrastructure, which we're already kind of doing.
Yep.
You're pushing an agenda that isn't quite ready yet.
Yep.
Right.
So, you know.
By the way, the judges have made their decision. Those were good points. We're just saying.
I feel good about it. So I'll be going home now.
Well, actually, I did do some research on that, Jim, and you are right. Those things burn at over 3,000 degrees. It takes them over 4 hours to burn out. You can't just let them sit there and burn without the police being present to make sure that no one else gets injured. So there's man hours of a police officer just sitting there watching it burn. And as you mentioned, our fire departments, and I don't just mean our small rural departments, I mean our major metropolitan fire departments do not have the ability to put out these fires.
It's just got to burn itself out then,
yes.
right? I mean, there's nothing you can't bring some baking soda and toss over the top of it?
No, you can't douse it in water.
Right.
You just have to let it burn.
And so imagine it's in your house.
I don't know.
Your house is gone, and
Right.
there's nothing you can do about it. You just sit there and watch, I guess.
No, I
Get some
think,
marshmallows or whatnot.
Well, we talked a little bit about it in the last segment, and I think that is that. And you mentioned the same thing. I think we're up against an agenda. I think more than sort of an advancing of technology. Technology will build and it will grow at its own pace, and I think there's an organic sense about being able to take these kinds of inventions and perfecting them to the extent. And I don't doubt, I'm not ragging on Ford or anybody else or anyone that wants to build these kinds of automobiles and trucks. But you've got to perfect them. They need to be right. And the government, of all people, of all things, I should say, can't mandate what we should drive and how we should drive and what energy sources. It's just it's more government overreach in what we talked about earlier. Just a dystopian sort of government that if we're not careful,
right.
These are the kind of decisions that are going to be made for us. And as Americans, you know what? Have you been to a car show lately? I'll bet you I know somebody that that has been to a car.
Absolutely.
And you know what we like? We like cars that go fast,
Vroom.
and we like to put gasoline in them, and we
like the way they sound.
Drive it, you better believe it. And we like boats, and we like airplanes, and I mean all manner of stuff that that we use in recreation. Your four-wheelers that you're driving around, out on the trails, and the Jeep folks that like to go out and drive over rocks that are too big to drive anything else
Those
over.
make great fail Army videos, though, by the way. I will say this. I think it's been shown time and time again that private industry outpaces government all the time.
Yes.
And I mentioned it earlier, but these are a prime example. The amount of data information and everything in a phone, when I was in school, it took the room, you take this whole top level of this building to do it. Technology will get there. Let it do it at its own pace. And believe me, private industry will speed up that pace because that's what they're good at. If the government would stay out of it, we'd be rock solid. And if you think that's not enough, stay with us because our final thoughts are coming up next.
The Coach Minnick Show is on the air. Jim Dickerson and Mike Davis take you inside Kearney Bulldog football, the ways and hows of strategy, the honest assessment of skills, and the lessons learned. Go inside your favorite team every week on The Coach Minnick Show. Thursday mornings at 11:30 on KMO-TV and 102.7 FM, Kearney's hometown radio station.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. This week and this past weekend, Friday night, Bulldog running back Cameron Emmons of your Kearney Bulldogs set a school record with the longest run from scrimmage with his 96-yard run out of the what? The ham package. Yeah, baby. I think we got some video on it.
So we're currently at the, call it the 4-yard line. Ham package. There's the snap and a run up the middle.
Oh,
and there you go. And he's free. All by himself and running with one man to beat. That is Emmons. He's at the 20. 10, 5, touchdown.
Man,
Cameron Emmons with a 94-yard run off the ham.
This is where you just wish so badly that we had this play on TV, because, I mean, that run, I mean, Cameron Emmons came blowing out of the ham formation, and nobody was there to stop him. Number 47 was the last man available, and they don't have his number on this roster, but number 47 from the Raytown South Cardinals did a real nice job of putting the speed on, but by that time it was too late.
And I got to say something, Jim, you weren't here. We talked to Coach Minnick at the coaches show yesterday, and we were talking about the ham package, and I was like, you got anything else out of the ham package? And he was like, no, we don't have anything.
There it is. We just saw it.
That was awesome.
Anybody else hungry?
I just have to say real quickly, Stacy, before we go to you, that it was ironic that I said, man, it would really be great to have TV footage of this. And, well, we were to find that the ESPN3 and the folks over at the high school had footage we could use.
Beautiful.
So, yes,
that was amazing.
Yes.
So, guys, since gentlemen are always the last ones to buy their Christmas presents, I'm going to give you fair warning that Christmas is only 74 days away. Can you believe that?
I can.
It is time to start thinking about it and planning for it. You know that your local businesses are, and so is your local Chamber of Commerce. We are preparing for our annual nonprofit showcase and holiday giveaway. More information is going to be coming out on that at the kearneychamber.org website, on the Kearney Chamber Facebook pages, and also on the Visit Kearney mobile app. So be sure to check it out in the next few weeks.
You're making us look bad, us guys, calling us out on what we should be called out on.
I'm just doing my naughty or nice list here.
I hope I'm at the top of the nice list, Jim. So, yeah.
Change that.
One last thing before we go, don't forget to join us tomorrow, 11:30 for the Coach Minnick Show right here on KPGZ and KMO-TV. And then we'll be live out there for the game on Friday night. That's 7 o'clock pregame, 6:40 as the Kearney Bulldogs take on the Grandview Bulldogs. It's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, boy.
Then we've just learned, too, we're going to be out in Belton the following Friday to cover that game as well. They have the infrastructure for it, so we'll do that.
Nice.
We could be going, let's see, we're 7-0. I've lost track.
Well, that would be 8-0.
We're winning
this weekend, and then
so we
9.
got that. One last thing, Kearney Family Foundation. Make sure you check them out, kearneyfamilyfoundation.org. They need donations of monetary gifts, volunteers.
Sign up for the golf. And
sign up for the golf thing this weekend.
Yeah.
Toiletries.
Brian told me I didn't have a whole lot of time. So I think I got it all out. Now he's going to say you got 5 minutes left. But
well, I think that's true, though. I think it was great that we were able to have Kellie Robertson in here from the Kearney Family Foundation. I think we usually see her this time of year because it just seems weird that this is about the only time of year that they're really doing this sort of the distribution part of it, I guess.
Yes.
But kearneyfamilyfoundation.org, don't forget them. There are a lot of ways to donate and lots of creative ways that I think you can help them out. And the toiletries thing is huge. And by the way, when she said toothbrushes are expensive, holy mackerel, yes they are.
Yeah.
And your toothbrush needs to be replaced, and now with high inflation it's hard. I'm still using the one that's all kind of folded over, the little bristles are folded over, so I need to go buy a toothbrush myself.
You know what I did? I used the one that you're supposed to clean your grill with that looks like a toothbrush. Okay, now,
those are steel bristles.
These are jokes. Kids, don't go out and do that. Don't send me emails. I get it.
Oh, my teeth turned black. I don't know what happened. Okay, well, I think, Brian's shaking his head. I think we're closing it. We've had enough. That's all. And I hope you have. We've really enjoyed that you've stopped by and stayed with us here for this hour of Kearney Live. It is a lot of fun, a lot of new information, a whole new format, and boy, we'd like to get you involved any way you can, but thank you for being with us, and we will see you next week on Kearney Live.